Right.
To call the meeting to order. We're meeting in regular session September 8th, 2025. All board members are here except for Ms. Tillman. She is on the way. We have one change to the agenda. We will be adding item number 9, a closed session according to KRS 61810F. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. The agenda is accepted. No one has asked to address us during the public comment period tonight. We move to reports. You've received the personnel report. And the next report is the orders of the treasurer.
Question on page 3, the plan for charge for the mechanical room. The $4,000, is that
Always,
is that
it's always high.
like that?
It's the main account at high school.
Oh, wow, okay. That,
You have any comments?
There were a couple of really large purchases, sorry. On page 4, the $9,375 for tuition for Elevate Academy. Elevate Academy is another option for a rank change, kind of like Bloomboard, that is through GREC. But all of those, of course, GREC is one of our educational co-ops in the state, out in Western Kentucky. But through that, those can, teachers can pursue their rank change, but we are paying for all those with the first time, long time funds that we get from OVEC. And of course, every single person who gets any type of tuition reimbursement. And I just delivered a Rosen check today, those as well sign one of the, retention contracts that require them to stay for 3 years after they complete the program, or they have to pay back.
it's been an expensive plumbing repair. Expensive plumbing repair.
Hey, Mr. Driscoll,
Is that?
are you the plumbing repair?
The water line.
Why didn't Hancock?
Yeah,
Yes, I'm checking into that too. There was a water line for water fountain over on the second floor that got behind the wall that they didn't behind. But I was talking to Mr. Hancock today about that.
But it was a pretty big fix.
Yes.
yeah.
You also see on page 5, you see Miss White's big purchase, her food service van that we're really excited about. I think around 16,000 of that is gonna be grant funded, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the rest will come out of her food service funds. The 35 on that same page to curriculum associates, $35,607.50 for iReady, that's K-12. There are now requirements in statute that we give reading universal screeners to 10th and 11th graders that aren't at benchmark and determine a path of intervention for those students as well. So we had to up our licenses from K-8 to K-12. And the rest of it is pretty.
What was the Keeney, the insurance premium adjustment?
Mr. Ricker, can you explain that one?
It was due to, so when they forecast those in the previous years, it's based on our previous wages, and then where we gave that raise last year, our wages came back higher than they had projected, and so just compensating for that increase.
And I put a note in my notes about the portable restrooms that were at Sourfield because our middle school football team started their season prior to the restrooms having a certificate of occupancy, but they are gone now. We've moved those out to the archives for cross country. I was curious, I asked Mr. Jones this morning about the audio enhancement battery. There's a special battery that those take, and all of our classrooms at Second Street have those audio systems. And then by October, is that right, Mr. Jones? When KDE is asking us to phase out all non-Windows 11 compatible
Yeah, that's correct.
machines. So we're either having to convert any machine that can host Windows 11 or having to replace. And we are replacing a couple of devices for our Raptor visitor sign-in systems. They can't support Windows 11, but we wrote those into one of our federal grants. I think that's it.
On page 3, there is a 9456 boys RRs SPED hallway.
That's a plumbing repair in a restroom, right, Mr. Driscoll?
Yes, ma'am. Fix the toilet at Second Street, we got the parts refurbishing.
And then on page 4, there is a $3,309.77 for a KEDC board membership.
That is the Kentucky Education Development Cooperative. That's one of the co-ops we're a member of, and we do that one primarily just for the bid list that they provide. We do a lot of purchasing through their bid list.
On that same page, there's a $275 State Journal Child Fine FERPA advertise.
It's Miss Staples. Oh, yes, she is here.
We're required by law to put a child fine notice in the paper, we split it with Franklin High Schools.
Okay.
For the year.
So what is, page 5, there's several entries for tamper switch, silence, something, capital, it's all capital technology.
So, and Mr. Driscoll, jump in if
Yeah.
I'm inaccurately explaining the tamper switch, but the tamper switch is the switch that's outside of the building so that if something is going off, the fire department can get in.
Yes.
And then, the fire alarm at Second Street was stuck in alarm mode. It wouldn't turn off, so we had to have them come in and silence it for us.
Is that something that's covered under our contract or?
No.
And then over on page 6, there is a safe $489 for safe crisis management REC.
So safe crisis management is our restraint and seclusion training that we have to have. How many people in each building?
Some 8 in each building.
Supposed to have 8 people in each building trained for safe crisis management, restraint and seclusion.
It's a train the trainer, so I'll go to the training and I get trained and then I come back and train the our staff on it.
And then there's $350 for a KSNA administration conference.
That is Kentucky School Nutrition Association for Miss White.
And then there's a Second Street School emergency fan reimbursement.
What?
Went bought fans.
Or hot rooms.
Okay. Toshiba paper cut software, is that like a yearly? What is the $120? Is that like a licensing fee?
Mr. Jones, how often is that?
That's not the cost.
Yeah.
And those rooms right there below that,
Mhm.
224, 225, 226, those are the rooms. Jesus.
My question there is, will those issues be resolved with our expenditure?
This expensive. I mean, it puts not resolved completely. Those are ones we need to look at. Replacing, so.
So what we're replacing at Second Street right now is not gonna address those issues.
No, the boiler addresses heat only, and we only have one boiler, and if that one were to go down. We wouldn't have to keep it on, so.
So is that invoice from the day I was there?
Well, I don't know, I'd have to check. 821 with that. Maybe.
I didn't realize they did anything except with some band members.
That, and they've come back
They had,
since then, they've been back several times.
they had a tech there that day too.
Yeah.
She was around, but we didn't see her.
Do we have any kind of estimates that would tell us what would fix those issues? Because
Yep.
this seems like a lot of money to be spent.
They're working on the estimates. But one thing we're gonna do in some of those rooms to try out is tint the windows. We bought enough tint to try out 2 rooms and see if that helps do a little bit, but the way Train has explained it to us is. The volume needed for those rooms with the high ceilings and just the sheer size of the rooms. When those units were put in, they weren't big enough for the room. And I'm not sure when they were put in. 2008.
I don't know, I was thinking around that time, I was thinking 10. Yeah,
So it's been about 15 years, I do know that.
okay, let's, the questions, is there a motion to approve the order of the treasurer?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor, of by signing that. Motion carries, the orders are approved. Next is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, indicate by saying aye. The motion carries, the consent agenda is approved. Now to presentations. Our first presentation this evening is from Walk Fraser.
Hi, I am Victoria Carney, I'm walking Frankfurt, this is Allie Hall, and she serves on the board, and is the chair of our PR committee. I'm the president of Walking Frankfurt. In the spring, we reached out to Dr. Sadly, with a proposal for a program. We have been doing, they're referred to as, it's a bike bus, and I don't know how familiar you are with the concept. But essentially, I guess we'll start here with who we are as an organization. Yeah, so Walkwick is a local 501c3. We've been around since 2007. We advocate with local government agencies to improve infrastructure. We have a threefold mission of advocacy, education, and community building. We have been since last year in partnership with the King Center, doing our walk, bike, and roll to school programs. And what that does is it allows for access for kids to ride bikes to school that might not necessarily have that opportunity. Some of those are from single mom households who might want to send their kids on supervised rides. And so in that partnership, it's been very rewarding. We've done these weekly during the warmer months. We tend to take a break post fall break and pre spring break. Because we usually don't have a lot of participation, but if we've got, you know, an unusually warm forecast, we'll advertise something like that. So in the spring, we reached out,
Okay, just tell me when.
in the spring, we reached out to Dr. Satterley about bringing a bike bus to Second Street School, a formal bike bus. So a bike bus it's a group of students and adults biking to school, supervised routes. It ensures that kids can get safely to school, that they're following the rules of the road, that they're not, crossing the street without looking. They're supervised, if you've got a young kid, you probably don't want them riding or walking to school unsupervised, and so this allows for ease of, to ease parents' minds, and get them going. We know Kentucky is ranked 48th in terms of childhood obesity in the United States. And so getting kids moving before school is important, but also it helps them with focus throughout the day, getting them active in the morning. Studies show that helps with keeping them focused in the classroom. Our goal is to bring a bike bus program to Second Street formally. And so what we are proposing is a formal partnership where we would offer a $5,000 stipend for it to be a teacher-led program, rather than a community-led program. We believe that if people are doing any extra work, that they deserve full and fair compensation, and so we want to put our money where our mouth is as an organization. What Walk Bike Frankfurt is proposing is, in terms of support, is you're proposing, if there are any kids that live downtown that maybe don't have a bike or a helmet or any sort of equipment, we have a form on our website for them to fill out, and we will give them a bike that they can use for this program throughout the school year. We will also, if kids do have a bike that maybe it needs to be serviced, we have a program, they can fill out a form. We will service those bikes free of charge. And ensure that as many kids as possible have access to this program that is equitable for all students in Second Street School. We can go to the next. So again, we're proposing weekly rides. We want a compensated teacher to lead the charge to ensure consistency and safety. We are advocating for mandatory helmet use that is not optional. The other thing is we'd like to have, of course, where we can ensure their students have some biking proficiency if they're going to be part of this, just to help ensure that kids are safe. And then we are utilizing the city of Frankfurt's existing shared use paths and safe routes. We have several engineers on our board of directors who have scoped out safe paths, safe crossing of high traffic areas. The biggest one would be Capitol Avenue, so we've ensured the safest routes. Again, and we're offering teacher equipment for the program that's also going to be maintained by Walk Bike Frankfurt. We have a bike bus handbook that we worked on. Allie created that for parents to go over. It teaches things like proper hand signals and how to ride safely. And kids have access to that. We'll go to the next one. So this is our proposed route for our bike bus program. Essentially, we would start at the Ewing Street Gym, go up Campbell. I don't know how many of you have seen the changes to Capitol Avenue that have happened just in the last year, but that Todd Street intersection is the safest intersection on Capitol Avenue with the flashing crosswalk. And then going down to Campbell Street, and then we would pass the King Center. So essentially with this program, it would ensure that there are stops along the way that parents and kids can join in, and parents are more than welcome to participate with their children. The more the better. That ensures more supervision, keeps kids safe along these routes. The King Center is also another stop. Again, we've been in partnership with them since last year with this program. So we would pass by the King Center and then go down to Second Street and cross Capitol Avenue at Second Street again. Next slide. So we have a great amount of community supporters and stakeholders. The Frankfurt Police Department has expressed their support, particularly with their bike patrol unit. Lieutenant King has offered his support and said, whenever they can offer support in terms of the bike patrol officer, that they're willing to do such a thing. The city of Frankfurt is a stakeholder. They have written a subsidy for this program, as well as have a petition with over 100 community members, parents, elected officials, expressing their support for this program. We are excited. We believe in this program. We believe that it improves access. It's equitable for all students. Second Street. And again, the biggest thing is, we believe if teachers are doing additional labor, they deserve compensation. We know our teachers are overworked and underpaid across the board, and we want to put our money where our mouth is as an organization. And we know that community partnerships are the way forward. So in terms of safety, there is a website, it's Bike Bus World. This idea, it's been around for a long time, but formally, in Portland, Oregon, was kind of where this started making headway. Nationally, there are hundreds and hundreds of bike buses. In Portland, with Bike Bus World, that was where they were able to, it was a PE teacher that led that program. And from there, they were able to lobby to allow their state legislature to put funding in for their schools to have funding for active transportation. We would ultimately like to be able to focus on doing that as an organization, but that is a down the line. We want to get these things rolling as an organization. Generally speaking, they're extremely safe. There's hundreds of bike buses. There's only one injury that has been noted, none which involve cars, for the sake of safety. You click the online support page right there. So on our website, we have offered and built a page, kind of a one-stop shop. And if you scroll down on calendar listing all of that for parents, again, we're offering support for this program to ensure that it's successful. There's a route, we have that page for gear, for volunteer opportunities, and then a waiver. A waiver will be required in order to participate, to protect the district, to protect us. I think that that's probably the only way to make that happen. And then
the Zoom banner at the top is. I'm gonna have to go back to it. Sorry.
it's okay. In terms of other schools in Kentucky that have done that, have implemented a bike bus program. The only one that I know of that has been actually school led has been at Ashland Elementary. I have reached out to them multiple times, trying to get responses from them in terms of how that district handled liability, things like that. I have yet to hear back from them. However, it has been done in the state of Kentucky, so there is model for this. I've been trying to to do my due diligence there.
I think, is that your last slide?
Yeah, it may be. So that's kind of where we're at as an organization, like what we would present to you guys. I don't know if you have any questions for us. Well, and support wise. The other thing is, I know there have been questions in terms of like a week, or we are open to having the district attorney look over that to ensure that if there's any issues there, that it covers all of our bases.
So, thank you for the presentation. I think Dr. Satterley has communicated to you that she's exploring this further with the board attorney, and
Absolutely.
for us, we always have to look at liabilities first and foremost. And then we will reach out to our insurance agent and see, because we probably would have to do something extra, a rider on some insurance. And I don't know what the cost of that would be. We have no idea if they would even want it. So, Dr. Satterley is pursuing and trying to get some questions answered. Do board members have any questions? Comments? Okay, thank you.
So I do have a question. Your waiver form, is that something you could share with Dr. Satterley so that our attorney could look at that too?
Yeah, and it's currently on there. Again, we are open to amending that to whatever district needs.
I know, but that's part of what our attorney probably needs. Okay.
Yeah, so we're absolutely open to amending that if your district attorney says that it doesn't protect enough or whatever. If your district attorney wants to write something specifically for this program, we're absolutely open to that as a recommendation. We believe in this program. We think it could be a fantastic community partnership.
The Ashland,
Yeah.
so the school is doing, they don't have like a walk bike Ashland, it's the
No,
school's doing it
It was
themselves.
a school-led program and initiative, and when I talked to, and I think this is also why I'm not getting responses, is because they had a principal turnover in the last year. So the principal that headed that program is no longer there. However, the vice principal last year is now the principal, so at least was around, but
Yeah.
you know, that's a differentiation of roles, so don't. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And next agenda item is the working budget presentation.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Certainly doesn't seem like the 4 months have gone by since we were past the tentative budget in May. But it's September, so that means it's working budget time. This is the screen you guys see every time we talk about the budget. One, trying to forecast our revenues, local tax estimates that, you know, we determine based on our tax rates. Seek estimates from KDE and our enrollments, and then our federal and state grant allocations. And then also trying to calculate our expenditures with our individual school budgets, board input, staffing formulas, operational costs. We took a really close look at utilities and those sorts of expenses this year. But you can move on. Just this high level summary of each of our funds. The general fund this year looking at 14.1 million. Capital outlay, which is based on our enrollment, 81,000. Building fund with the new name that we passed is almost 1.5 million. Debt service fund for our existing bonds, almost $1 million, and then our food service fund at 1.58 million.
Mr. Rupert, that building fund, that's just Nichols, not equalization.
So it's our previous nickels and equalization, but just the new
Just
nickel
the-
by itself.
Because it won't get equalized
in the
into.
spring, which we may hear whether it's equalized in the state or not. So diving into the funds a little bit more in detail. Looking at the general fund this year, they're getting down to right around 2.2 million. Again, that total budget 14.1, and then we've set our contingency at almost 2.2 million as well, which is 15% of our total budget. For the capital outlay, 81,000. Our building fund, that estimated state funding is the match on our previous nickels, property taxes, what we'll get locally based on the new nickel that we just passed. And then our obligations for debt service, 748,000, which brings that total to 1.488 million. Total in debt service, 984,000, which includes the 748 from our portion, And then the state facilities commission, contributes 235,000 to that. Food service beginning balance of, right around 400,000, revenue, 1.1 million. Other receipts, 75,000, and then their total budget of 1.575. Daycare fund beginning balance of 100,000. Revenue from local, which is mostly, tuition and daycare, costs, revenue from state, 47,000, and our salary expenditures, for FILA and daycare, 52,000, brings its total budget to almost 240,000. I think it's a question you all may have. We've gone through since, we last talked, to most of Excel, and we had budgeted general fund, but we feel better about our federal allocations, and so those have been moved over to fund two. And then we've really tried to maximize our state federal grant, mostly federal grants, by putting as much personnel into our general fund to save them.
I had a question about that federal funding, and I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase it, but our appropriations that are in our working budget for PEP and Excel, are those based on the federal funding that was part of the fiscal year 2025 federal funding, which ends at the end of this month?
So we just budget on, and if you go through there, all of the budgets for the federal will have the letter M after those. Those are just our fiscal year 26. Which are starting next month and running to September. We do have some left over and are able to still spend that we had from previous years. But these are all budgeted in the years they are received. So last year we just budgeted L, even though we had previous years, and then this year we just budgeted M for this year, even though we have had previous years left over.
And we budgeted the amounts for PEP and Excel off of previous expenditures. Just off of that PEP and Excel data we gave you from the past 3 years.
So it's the new federal budget for the federal year, the federal fiscal year 2026. For some reason, should not come through with that funding. Because the current funding is only through the federal year that ends at the end of this month, is that correct?
No,
I'm just
all of
trying
those
to, I'm
federal-
trying to square the,
All of those federal grants are 2-year grants.
okay,
Now,
that's what I was,
so we have until. But we spend most of it in the year that we have it. Because we spend it on that year's PEP and Excel, and where we were previously paying out of Title I, we were paying for 3 teachers at Second Street and 1 teacher at
Mhm.
Frankfurt High. That pretty much depleted Title I with some money for supplies. But we've moved all those over to general fund so that we don't have to pay the health insurance, and we've moved the full 100,000 that we budgeted in salaries, not salaries, but
Yeah.
extra pay for
Mhm.
PEP and Excel. And the 50,000 for supplies and field trips and such, we've moved that over to Title I.
And to my knowledge, KDE has all of the funds
Yes.
for fiscal year 26, so
Yes.
there should not be an issue.
that's what I was thinking.
Yes.
That's what
They-
I was trying to get to.
They withheld in July, and after the review, they distributed, so I believe KDE has it all, we just have to request.
I've also written quite a bit of the K-State tuition into the federal grants. Now, I didn't have Mr. Rupert take that out of the general fund yet, just because we haven't received final approval
Right,
on our GMAP application for the federal grants. I know the PEP and Excel will be approved. It always has been Title I, that they live for extension type program.
right.
But the tuition, we're gonna try and see.
Mm.
So on federal, I mean, on Fund Two. The budget appropriation is about 250,000 less than the actuals, and was there, I mean, I've had to look through all pages, but nothing jumped out at me that.
I
Is
think
there,
most of our grants all just kind of went down just a little bit, and they have for those last
that's
couple of
kind of the
years.
culmination of,
And
okay,
it's not a 1-year change, it's, in something we were getting 330, 340 a couple of years ago, it's still 275, 290.
I think 3 years ago, our Title I allocation was like 330 on some change. This year it's 286. It went down 30,000 last year and another, I take that back, it's 283, I think. I think we lost another 16 this year. And remember, I got in touch with the census and, as long as it's not our free and reduced lunch rate, it's the poverty rate within our district of 5 to 17 years old. And as long as that continues to change the way
Yeah.
we've discussed it changing, that number will continue to go down. That allocation will continue to go down.
Well, we also had some food service grants in the last couple of years that we're not budgeting annually for this year, even though we have a couple applications.
Okay, thank you.
I did also include an allocation in either 4 or 5, can't remember, Title 4 or 5 for the farm to school stipends that we're losing the grant funding for, so. Fingers crossed.
Okay, any other questions? We will not be taking action tonight, so, you've got 80 pages of bedtime reading that you can look over for the next couple of weeks and reach out to Dr. Satterley or to Mr. Rupert.
Well, and hopefully by that meeting, we have an approval on our GMAP application and maybe a couple of those numbers can change with the K-State tuition and things like that.
Is there a deadline for the GMAP thing is supposed to be?
There's only a deadline for us to have it submitted. We've never had.
KDE has no deadline on approving that or?
Now, I will say this, they go through all, like the whole application is 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 4, and 5. They're all in one application and you don't get one back without all 4 consultants leaving. But I can see what they've approved and what they've not approved. So like if I go through Title II and it's all okay, I can go ahead and give Logan that budget. And have him, or Mr. Rupert that budget and have him go ahead and put it in Munis and we can go ahead and take whatever out that we're supplementing. Without the final approval. They do mark it and I can see like your notes and stuff.
Any other questions this evening? Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we move to new business and it is the BG about the boiler.
I guess it's not really new business. You already approved the train proposal, but we need to do an
The
official.
form is new.
Correct. The form is new. We need to do an official BG1 for the project. It's just for the train boiler replacement at Second Street that you approved at a previous meeting. So it's just a formality that the KDE requirement piece.
Any questions? Boilers are expensive, aren't they? Okay, is there a motion to approve the BG1 for the Second Street School boiler?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. The motion carries. BG1 is approved. Our next order of business is superintendent's comments.
It's crazy to think that when I was doing this report that it's already September 8th and. I did want to show you the final product and Miss Pearl printed this in color just because she said these 2 pictures deserved to be in color for you to see how pretty the stained glass window turned out to be at Second Street. That the Second Street Art Club did. I put this here because I just remember Mr. Turner, the PE teacher at Second Street, being so excited that he got these wonderful new soccer balls. And so I think, Miss Sands, can you tell what grade this is?
Kindergarten.
Yeah, kindergarten, learning. I just remember as a child learning game, like real sport games, and it's exciting to see that they've been doing their physical fitness tests, their pull-ups, their sit and reaches, their shuttle runs, things that we remember as children. I'm sure you saw in the newspaper and in a couple of my previous newsletters that we have had 2 West Banco Students of the Week, the last 2 weeks. On the left in the cross-country uniform is Aiden Elam. And he is knocking it out of the park in the cross-country course right now. And in the classroom, he's on the right of Maddox Prophet, and he was chosen for his utmost respect of his teachers and peers. And then we've also had a traditional bank athlete of the week. This is Lily Valentine. She has stepped up with the exit of some seniors on the volleyball team and has taken on a new position that she hasn't been used to playing, and she has been resilient and has been a leader on the volleyball court. A couple of other things, not last week, but at the last meeting, you heard us talk about how we did learning walks at Second Street with CKLA, Amplify, and with the Collaborative for Teaching and Learning to look at EL education in grades 4 through 8, just to make sure that we are implementing those literacy programs at a high level of fidelity. Better Lesson will be with us at Frankfurt High this week to do those same learning walks focused on Odell, that literacy. We have finished our ready testing for the fall window. The board will receive a data presentation in an upcoming board meeting. We do have a ton of athletic events this week, including several big district matchups. So our girls soccer team is probably playing Franklin County right about now. Our boys and girls soccer teams both play Crossing later this week, and boys soccer plays Western Hills on Saturday, sorry. The Capital City Classic Cross Country Meet, which is a huge meet for us and a huge fundraiser for the cross country team, is Friday and Saturday of this week. And just around the corner next weekend, September 19th, is homecoming. So you'll be getting your email about your jobs for the parade. So be looking for that in
Say
your
that candy
inbox.
for the little kids this time.
And I should have put something in there about the Frankfurt High School dance team fundraiser for homecoming proposals. Is it $5? That they will provide, you know how they do promposals? Will you go to homecoming with me? With the poster board and their gifts? So the dance team will facilitate it all for you if you want to ask your dance to dance in high fashion for just $5. You don't have to plan it, you don't have to do any of the work. They do it for you.
Send a messenger.
Yes.
Instead of going to Okay, thank you. Our next order of business is closed session. Do we have a motion to go into closed session pursuant to KRS 61-810F? Discussions or hearings which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual, employee, member, or student without restricting that employees, members, or students' right to a public hearing if requested. This exception shall not be interpreted to permit discussion of general personnel matters in secret.
So moved.
Second.
And a motion and a second, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Motion carries, and we will go into closed session.